to Cannabis TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and our guest today is lead singer Drew Cagle of Drew Cagle and Reputation. Now, as people can see, Drew has chosen to have his camera off today, and he's going to let his music do the talking for him. And now, I got to tell you, Drew, until I had your publicist had sent me a press release on the band, I'd never heard of you guys, and I was pretty impressed. How long has the band been around?
So I've been doing it for about 9 or 10 years. Coming up here pretty soon.
Okay, I tell you, I don't know how it is that I haven't heard of you, but this was my first impression of the band. This is what I wrote down when I got done watching the video for the latest single, which is All Figured Out. This is my impression I immediately had. It said, "If rock is dead, then Drew Cagle is the next rock star who has the power to kick rock in the ass in a huge way and bring it back."
Well, thank you for saying that, man.
I mean, I think, first of all, it's a great kind of kick-ass rock song. It kind of, to me, it has a sound of like kind of classic 70s hard rock. I don't know if you're at all influenced by Cheap Trick, but I kind of hear a little bit of a Cheap Trick influence there.
Yeah, I love Cheap Trick. I've seen him like 3 or 4 times.
Wow. And I urge people to go on YouTube and check out the video because, I mean, you dress like a rock star. I mean, a lot of bands kind of just get up there on their jeans and t-shirt these days, and that's cool too. But I dig a guy that kind of goes all out and is really trying to put on a show.
Yeah, man. I don't phone anything in. That's for sure.
Yeah. In fact, as much as I like that song, I checked out some of the other songs, and there's you're definitely a rock guy, but I think very much like Cheap Trick or another one of my favorite bands, Tesla. These are bands that aside from me like hard rock, bands, it's kind of hard to pigeonhole them because I mean you look at a band like Tesla, they got songs like Signs and Love Song, Modern Day Cowboy. They throw a little something for everybody out there.
Yeah, I've seen Tesla a couple of times too, actually. Yeah, it's I'm one of those people that I let myself get influenced by any and everything that I can listen to. So, whenever I hear a new song, I try my best to find something in that song that can influence me or look for what the best piece of that song is and figure out, hey, what could I do with this to make this, mine? And that's something I always try to do. And I always hope that in doing that, whenever people hear my music, that they hear something that sounds familiar, but they can't really pinpoint exactly where it comes from. And I hope that, in doing that, I help find and dig out a niche for us.
I mean, I'll give you a great example of what I'm talking about. I mean, Haunted by Your Love, that's another great song. It's kind of the opposite of what a song like All Figured Out is. I mean, it's kind of what I like to call the softer acoustic side of Drew Cagle.
Yeah.
And it's not quite, I wouldn't quite call it a ballad, a syrupy ballad, but it's a much softer type of tune, and yet it kind of has a little bit of an edge, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. Yeah, those songs like Haunted and a lot of the songs from that Haunted album are very much in nature different than All Figured Out. I mean, I'm a songwriter, so when I write the songs, I don't necessarily have a genre in mind when I write.
Yeah.
So Haunted by Your Love is definitely, I would agree with the ballad sentiment. It's very, very stripped back, very raw. Just, you have to figure out what the right spot is to let lyrics do the talking and when it's time to let the guitars do the talking, and exactly what the right situation needs to be for figuring out which piece of the puzzle breathes at a certain time and what you can do to help move the listener the best.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say when I listen to your music, Drew, kind of everything you said kind of is true. But I'd also say your gift as a songwriter, it's really present for everybody to hear. I mean, just people got to open their ears and very much. You may laugh when I say this, but when I talk about your songwriting ability, I put you right up there with guys like Tom Petty, the Eagles. I mean, you take the Eagles too. They're another great band. I mean, their stuff's been playing on the radio for the last 40, 50 years, and they got everything from great hard rock and kick-ass tunes like "Take It Easy," "Already Gone," and then and they throw something like "Take It to the Limit" out there.
Yeah, or Desperado or something like that.
Yeah, and for
Yeah,
me, when I listen to songs, I mean, I love a great kick-ass guitar riff or a guitar solo as much as anybody, but I think the songs that really stand the test of times are where you listen to a song and you can tell that it was definitely based on somebody's life story, something they
yeah,
experienced, page out of their life. A lot of times I tend to, when I'm listening to a song, especially for the very first time, I'm listening to the vocals, I'm listening to the lyrics, I'm trying to figure out for myself, what's the story they're trying to tell.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially in, artists like that, the songwriting definitely is what makes the songs, and that's what in any great song should be. There should be an element of authenticity, and if you're not writing songs from the heart, then you're never going to be able to connect with another person's heart
Yeah,
from it.
to me, I guess it depends on the artist, but like really the only band I know that can kind of get away with all their songs kind of sounding like is AC/DC maybe, but I think typically if an artist has like one sound and and every song of the album sounds exactly like the previous one, after a while the audience, the fans are going to get bored with that. Where if it's more an artist like doing what you do, Drew, uh, um, people kind of never know, like when they check out a new Drew Cagle tune,
What
what's
it's
going
gonna
to sound
sound like.
like. It's
Yeah,
going to discover something new, a different part of your repertoire, if you will.
absolutely, and that should be the goal. Every record should attempt to give you something new on each song and tell a story in the process. And I think rock music and music in general has lost that in recent years. And with the new single that's just come out, All Figured Out, it's no different than the Haunted record. It's produced a lot better, and it's uh has some amazing musicians on it and stuff like that. But it's no different in the fact that there's a story to be told, and this is just a piece of the story. And if you connect to this piece, then you'll connect to many other pieces of the puzzle that may be similar in meaning or similar in sound, but ultimately take you on a journey to a different place that hopefully evolves the record and hopefully evolves us as musicians.
Now, you obviously, Drew, are a principal, singer, songwriter, but do you write with other people? Do you have the same
Most
band, all the time, or?
so I write all the songs. Everything's pretty much me. I'm one of those guys that when I get a vision, I need to enact it the way I envision it, because I'm oftentimes I'm afraid that um, my vision can get lost
Sure.
in somebody else's vision. Um, so I write a lot of the same stuff. Over 10 years,
Yeah.
the band has evolved in different ways with different members that have all contributed to the live shows or the studio
Sure.
recordings or something in some way. But at this point, this is a lone journey.
Okay. Okay. It makes sense because as great as as some people might think it would be to collaborate and co-write with other people, and there's money to be made doing that. I would imagine too, bringing in a collaborator, a co-writer, like you said, you stand the risk of somebody else coming in and putting too much of their flavor on your song or trying to change the song from what you originally intended it to be.
Yeah, and and there's a place for all of it, right?
Yeah,
There's a place for collaboration and everything. But sometimes when you have someone with a personality as strong as mine, and a vision as clear as mine, if uh, if something happens to where I might have to change that vision or something in some way, oftentimes I often just rely on the side of my vision, because that's what's given me the most success.
And so are you signed to a label, Drew, or do you release your stuff independently?
So I do everything myself. I'm independent, book all my shows independently, and release everything independently as well.
I mean, that there's two sides of that, but I think personally, an artist like you, as great as it, I mean, like when we were growing up, there used to be, major record deals. There's not really that going on too much any more these days, and I think, the modern business world being what it is, especially the music business, um, it makes sense if you're able to release your stuff independently because you can stay more in control of it, what you do. You don't have some guy at the label coming, down and telling you, Drew, this sounds great, but it sounds like some came out of the '70s. We need a more modern sounding tune.
Uh-huh.
None of that going on.
It's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, we said, where I'm not one of those guys that would say no if
No, yeah,
the right deal came my way, right?
yeah,
But I haven't seen the
the
one
right
that's
deal.
been, yeah, I haven't seen the one that's been right for me yet. Just because of a matter of, what I said, I rely mostly on my vision.
Yeah,
And if there's anything that can hurt the vision or get in the way of it, or get manipulate it in a way that's not true and authentic to me, then I believe that's not what a listener would want to hear. I know me as a listener would never want to hear a song or a sound that's not authentic to the person singing it. So uh, that's pretty much how I gauge what I do. So you probably will never see me sign to a label or something like that unless I feel that they will represent my vision and help me work together in a collaborative process to make my vision go stronger instead of to alter it to fit theirs.
yeah. I mean, because you even hear horror stories. I mean, guys like John Fogerty, from Creedence Clearwater Revival. I mean, for years he had battles with his record company to the point that he got so sick of feuding with the record company, but he wouldn't even play any of those classic tunes for about a 10-year period.
Yeah, I mean, this business is a is a very, very soul sucking
Yeah,
business, and it will take everything from you if you're not vigilant, and especially when it comes down to you signing your name on lines that
yeah,
you don't necessarily know what you're signing on. Man,
yeah,
it can
yeah.
get dangerous for sure.
And again, Drew, I got to tell you, I was really impressed with the video for All Figured Out. I mean, to me, it's like something you would have seen on MTV back in the day. Very professional looking. I mean, and the best kind of compliment I can give you is after watching the video. I'm watching the video, I'm listening to the song, and immediately I'm like, wow, I'm digging what this guy is doing. I can't wait to hear the next song or check out some, more of his music.
Yeah,
It,
man.
it's that good. And I think anybody that hears it can kind of latch on to what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that video, the recent one, all figured out video, which I love. I think it's great. That was recorded by JT Ibanez, who's done a lot of famous videos. Did some stuff for or getting ready to do some stuff for Creed and stuff like that. Dude's extremely talented, and I'm so happy to have him
Oh,
as
sure,
a
sure.
part of the team on this project.
And
And
how often do you get to go play live? Because I went on your Facebook page, I seen that you played with everybody from like Striper and Warrant. I mean, that's pretty good. You're in great company there.
yeah, man, I don't really have days off.
Yeah, but I
we
guess that's a good problem to have now.
Yeah, especially in the music business. Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we've got to play with a lot of those, just like you said, a lot of the biggest bands from the '80s and '70s, and all it's been a great ride. This weekend we have a show with Trickster coming up,
Wow,
uh,
wow.
and we got some shows with Great White and Slaughter coming up in a week or two, and uh, I'm sure a couple other bands that I'm starting
Those
losing
are all
forget.
bands I grew up on, man, and the fact that they're all out there still doing it. Um, I tip my hat to all those guys for still getting out there and doing it. I think, like I said, you're in great company and you're getting great exposure, getting these opportunities to open for these other great artists, such as those bands you've mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, the I've had a few that were just larger than life. I mean, sometimes when you do it long enough, you realize that
Yeah,
rock stars aren't as rock starry as you think they are.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Uh, but there's it's always cool when you can get into a situation where you still feel a bit of that magic
Yeah.
from those people, because honestly that's what we all, that's the drug we all get on and on off on rock and roll is the aura and magic of a rock star. And the one that was um the most like that was Artemis Pyle from Leonard Skinner when
Oh,
we
wow.
played with. So
Yeah.
he's the only surviving member of Leonard Skinner left. He's the drummer who played
Yeah.
on all the hits. He was in the plane crash when it came
Survived.
down, and yeah, and he, at 76 years old or 77, or he
Love they're
just
doing
recently
it.
had a
Yeah, you
birthday.
gotta love them.
Yeah, we did the show together, and the show ended, and he immediately came out front um, to the merch table, sat down, and shook hands with every single person that came to the show. And I do mean every single person. And we were out there, we were drinking a little bit. We were toasting to the memory of Ronnie Van Zant, and he was just out there telling stories and met every person. I mean, he was taking 5-10 minutes with each fan to talk to them, hear about their life stories and stuff like that. And we were out there until about 3 a.m. And it wasn't until the venue kicked us out that
Wow.
we ended up leaving. So it was like that. And the whole time he had this entire, rock star energy. And that's what it's about. That's what music's about. And so many artists lose that and forget about and get caught up in how cool they look and how
Yeah,
cool they
yeah.
want to be. And you just forget that all what we really do is just try to make music to make other people feel special and forget about their life problems, and
Oh, sure,
and
sure.
create memories. Because I've said this many times, is memories are the most valuable currency that we have. And if you can give someone one, then it'll last forever to them.
Oh, sure.
And that's
Wow.
exactly what Artemis does. And that was probably one of the coolest of the
Yeah,
rock star experiences I've
yeah.
had.
I love hearing stories like that. I mean, and to still be doing it at his age and after everything he's lived through, um, people talk about Leonard Skinner or even a band like Foghat. Oh, they only got only one original guy still alive, and all the others are replacement. But like Leonard Skinner is almost kind of it's become much more of a band. I dare say a lifestyle, and it's almost the guys are still out there. Like Ricky Meldock and all those other guys still, and Skinner going out there and playing the music. I mean, it's almost become a celebration of Leonard Skinner, celebration of the music. Fans just love that music so much that they
Yeah.
together and celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, part of me, you want to see when you get to a situation where there are no original members left.
Uh,
Um, the thing like that with like with Artemis and stuff, as a fan, you want to see you. I mean, I would love to see Artemis perform under the name Leonard Skinner.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, he is the closest thing there is to Leonard Skinner left.
sure.
And he still plays at, I mean, the absolute top level. Um, but yeah, when it comes down to it, you have to think about it. Would you rather see the music die, or would you rather see people carry it on that will honor it the right way? And we've got to perform with a lot of bands that are like that. We performed with April Wine a few weeks
Yeah,
ago, and there's no original members of April Wine anymore. There's members that toured with
yeah,
Miles
sure.
Goodwin and stuff, but they're not any members. We did the same thing with Humble Pie, and there's no real
Yeah,
original founding members left. But it's it, it's one of those things that when you go and you see the shows, there is still magic there, but the magic isn't in the people anymore. It's left to the music and the memories that the music have given to the fans. And it's when you go see stuff like that, it's still cool, because without it they die.
yeah.
I don't want to.
It's like Aerosmith said in the song, let the music do the talking. I mean, another great example of what you're talking about, Drew, is the band Warrant that you've done shows with. I mean,
Yeah,
Janie Lane was a monster singer and songwriter. I mean, that's what he's remembered for, and he's the
absolutely.
very reason those guys are still able to go out and tour with Robert Mason, because Robert's a great vocalist.
He is.
Songs people just love him so much, are part of people's lives, the soundtrack to our lives, as they say, both people from that era. Um, and people love hearing those songs. And it's kind of funny, but I understand before Janie got really sick and went down with his demons and stuff and started stuff dealing with that stuff again, he kind of handpicked Robert Mason to replace him. But when it got to the point that he knew he was going to be able to go out and tour anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always cool too. Then that's exactly what happened with both the bands that I had said, Humble Pie and April Wine, is usually that the lead guy, or they'll put together these bands and say, hey, I don't want my music and my legacy to die.
Yeah, yeah.
Will you keep this alive and give this to people? Because otherwise, the best that anyone's going to see is, they're just going to cover Cherry Pie, and
Yeah.
if even on a more a larger scale, or a smaller scale with less hits, like Humble Pie or April Wine, those songs don't get played anymore, and there's still people that need to hear that music because that music has touched people and given them memories that last forever. And
Okay.
when that happens, there's still a place for it. There's in my mind, there's definitely a place. There's places where covers shouldn't happen, and there shouldn't be cover bands or stuff like that. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. But
For sure, sure. Talking about Humble Pie, I mean, I remember a couple years back where in the same year, both Ace Frehley and the Dead Daisies covered 30 Days in the Hole.
yeah, and Mr. Big did as well.
Oh, oh wow, yeah. Well, that makes sense for Mr. Big, but yeah, just it's a great song, but a great band. They, like you said, kind of a lot of people seem to have forgotten about, but the people that were there, people that love that music will always love it.
I hope so, and I hope that lasts forever. I'd hate to see the music that any of us love tend to fade with time, right?
And I got to say, Drew, interviewing like this today is very interesting, but yet I love the photo too that you put up on the screen, because it just kind of you look like a rock star, if you know what I mean, in the photo. It's cool.
Yeah, man. So I'll explain it a little bit for you too, so it just doesn't seem like I'm kind of leaving you in the dark here.
No, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
So like the one of these things for me, as I'm sure you can kind of pick up from kind of checking out some of our stuff.
Uh,
I've always been a firm believer of, right now we're doing rock music, right?
sure.
So I've always been a firm believer of, to have real effective and authentic rock music, you need two elements. You need mystery and you need danger.
I get
And
that from the photo. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, and there's so many, and I would argue that the majority, if not all, of the rock artists and nowadays don't really give a shit about either of those. uh,
That's funny
and
because in watching the video, you would think, I mean, like I said, first thing came to my mind besides it being a great tune, the video looked cool. I'm like, man, this guy looks like a rock star. And I see at a certain point where you kind of get across, because I'd imagine very much like myself when I go to a rock concert, or you're putting on the concert, or you go to see other bands yourself play, Drew, I'd imagine you want to be entertained. You want to entertain your audience. You don't want to
yeah,
just get up there in in your jeans and t-shirt.
yeah. Well, it's the same thing you said earlier. You don't want to. No one wants to pay $25 to go see the dude who lives down the street,
Yeah,
mow his lawn,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you want to see something that's larger than life. You want to see a character. You want to see an aura. You want to be caught up in the reality that is rock music and is rock stars. And you can't have that if there's no mystery, and you definitely can't have that if there's no danger. So I've always been one of those guys that says, I say this in many different interviews, and I don't say it to make it sound funny. I say it because I really mean it, and I really believe it. And it's one of those things that, like, I don't want to see. I don't want to know what Mick Jagger had for breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to. He's not posting it on his Instagram story. I don't care where he shops. I don't care. Um, I don't want to know of anything. I truthfully don't want to know anything about his
Anything,
his
yeah, about
life.
Mick Jagger, I guess the most impressive thing these days is that, after suffering a heart attack a couple of years ago, and the fact that he's 81 years old and he's still able to get up on stage and do what he does, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things that when you get to a Rolling Stone show, you have the feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm in the same room as Mick Jagger and Keith
Sure, sure.
Richards. And it's the same thing that you said. Oh my gosh, he's had a heart attack. He's this old. Is he going to be able to move the way he normally moves? Is he going to be able to run across this stage that looks like the size of a football field? Is he going to fall down? Is tonight going to be the night he collapses? It's all that stuff, and that's the mystery of rock and roll. There's the thing that makes rock and roll so cool is the risk and the mystery and the unknown element to it. And if you know everything that's going to happen, if there's backing tracks playing, if you know no one's ever going to miss a note, if that all that stuff happens, then what is cool about rock and roll anymore? Then you're just playing loud music.
Yeah,
And
and then on the flip side, a cool thing about doing a Zoom interview like this, I mean, you got the option to turn on your camera or not. And the reason I bring this up is because when I interview people, people have different kind of attitudes. I mean, most people have come on the screen, but even for technical reasons, sometimes somebody was having trouble figuring out how to turn on the camera. I said, well, you know what? If you'd be more comfortable, you don't have to turn on your camera. We can just, I can turn on my camera. People can see me. We can still have a conversation. And I dig the fact that not everybody has to do it the same way. I dig the fact that rather than you even just saying, well, I would rather stay off camera, you went the extra mile and sent me a cool looking photo so people can have something cool to look at.
yeah, and that's the single cover for the new record. And I want when people hear my voice, when people hear my music, I want people to imagine their own thing. I'll guide you on what the vision is, of course, but music is an interpretive process, and every single part of it should be interpretive. It
And this
shouldn't be.
it's a great marketing tool. I mean, I didn't even think about it until you just said it, but the fact that that's the cover for your new single, that's what people are going to remember from this interview.
Yeah,
Okay, that's the song they're talking about. That's the video. I'll go check it out now.
exactly, and they should. They and when you look at the music video and you look at the single cover here, they feel the same. They feel like they're one. You know, they feel like they were put in place around the same time. Like it's the same tint in the music video. The I have my red leather jacket on, and that is the only color you see on the single cover. It's stuff like that help craft a vision and help people figure out the way to find where they relate to it and find their own way to escape into the songs and the music, whether it be because of the imagery, because of the color scheme, because of the lyrics, because of the guitars, whatever it is. You need to give the people as many elements as they can to find where they fit in it.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about YouTube, but to me, the cool thing about YouTube is that an artist such as yourself, Drew, that if you make a video, you want to release your song, to the world, you got the ability to do that just now. It's much easier to get your music out there as opposed to, at least when I was growing up, and we still had something called MTV,
Yeah.
where or even to test old time radio, people used to do everything to get their music on the radio, or especially MTV. They'd send them packages and special things to try to get their music played. Um, it's not like that anymore. And at the same time, I think MTV really kind of was a great thing back in the day. But the guy that took over MTV, he really, I think, screwed a great thing. I bet you can't even find MTV on the dial anymore. I mean, it's a TV network, but you're not going to find any music being played. The guy who took
No.
over, he's like, we're not going to play any of those hair bands. We're not um, only going to play what I like, and that's his power to do that. But you know what I mean? It killed the whole music industry. It's really amazing what they did to that, how they destroyed it.
Yeah, well, it's crazy to see, everything that's happened,
Yeah,
with the music industry. Definitely, I'm very grateful to things like YouTube and stuff that allow us to get the music out to people. I wouldn't mind getting paid as much as you would have gotten paid to have the songs back in the day, and instead of having to deal
yeah,
with streams and royalties. Um, and however much Spotify and Apple give you for that, I wouldn't mind not having to do with that.
yeah.
But but it's with everything, everything evolves, and as music in the industry evolves, you take the good and the bad and you figure out the right way to navigate
You got
it,
to
right?
embrace it. And I think too, with the modern way of doing things, like you said, you take the good and the bad, but definitely the good, I think, is you get an immediate reaction from people. You don't have to wait to get the sales, sales
Yeah.
in or anything. People leaving their comments. How often do you go on your like YouTube and check out what people are saying?
Um, you know, sometimes I like to, I I sometimes, if it's a big thing, I tend to, and it's especially if it's the first time anyone's heard it, I tend to look to see gauge what's happening, but I don't let that change a decision.
For
I,
sure.
I the my music is made because it's what comes out of me and what I feel, and I wouldn't ever, you know, if someone says they liked it or didn't like it, change the way like I said, my vision is. But like I like to get on there every once in a while and like a comment
Sure,
on the
sure.
post or something like that, because I know whenever I comment on my favorite band's posts or whatever, whenever I used to, and they liked it, that was a special moment for me, and I would always think, oh man, it was cool, Aerosmith liked my post or something.
Yeah,
That's always something cool to feel. So I try to, if someone is kind enough to say something along the lines of, your music actually helped me, or I get what you're doing or something like that, and if they really enjoy it, I like to like that, and let them know, that does mean something to me whenever you say that, or whenever you share it and show your friends, because this is a two-way street, right?
sure. And I mean, and as great as YouTube and Facebook is, like you said, they you take the good with the bad. I mean, Facebook kind of just sometimes it amazes me. Like um, you'll post something or you'll try to add somebody as a friend. Oh, you got too many friends. Lose some of your friends, um, or you're sharing this video too much to try to get likes. Like, okay, what isn't
Oh
that
yeah,
isn't
I
that the
mean
point?
those people, the commenters can be
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and we've got plenty of those. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, everyone only loves my music, right?
You're
No,
gonna
I
get the
mean,
haters as much as you're gonna get the fans. There's
yeah.
everybody.
And it's funny, Facebook's funny because you get the people that listen to 3 seconds of a song and then think they've got you all figured out. I had a couple people, which not to not to tease the single here, but I've had a couple people, even comment on the promo we did for this new single, All Figured Out. And it's funny because the whole single is pretty much targeted at people like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've had people comment, things along the lines of, saying the song sucks, or something like that, and or just haters or whatever. And all I do is just send them back the link to the music video. It's something like that. It's like, yeah, man, the all figured out if you listen to the song and kind of dig into it. The verses are pretty much, things that other people have said about me, comments like that, bad comments saying, for example, one of the lyrics in there is a small town rock star wannabe in the verses. And that's something that I've been called, and I'm from a town of maybe like 600 to 1,000 people maximum, on like if it's a fair week,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
just
like,
ask those people, okay, okay, what have you done? I mean,
yeah, well, I don't want to,
I get you.
people's own insecurities make them lash out and stuff.
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
and that's the lyrics in the song, and that's what I'm getting at, is like, you can
Wow.
say all these things about me, but when it comes down, like, what, you've really got me all figured out, that's what you think, you know
Yeah.
and one of the lyrics in the chorus is, you're looking for something in me that'll stop your hurt.
Wow.
And
Wow. I love that. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's one of the, and so that I'm pretty much talking to people like that, entirely, not just the keyboard warriors, but just people and, opposition I've had in my life. I'm not one of those people that will, take a bunch of shit and just sit there and, not say anything back. And this is me pretty much responding and saying, if you really think that everything I do is so bad, you know, then why is it working?
Yeah. I love the fact that people like that, you kind of put it right back at them in the lyrics. I mean that is
Absolutely.
totally cool. And I think the reason, Drew, that your music seems to have a real authenticity to it is because, like you said, as much as you want everybody to like your song, I mean, you do not seem like an artist to me that okay, hey, rap's a popular thing now, so I'm going to go out and do a rap tune. I mean, you're not necessarily putting this music out there to please everybody. So I think in order
No.
for you to be successful, it has to be music that you can get off of on, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, songwriting is a very intimate thing if it's done the right way. If you're not just singing about trucks and beer,
Yeah.
it's an intimate thing, and you should. I use songwriting to as a form of therapy to help me get through my problems and deal with what it's like living a life in my shoes.
Oh, sure.
And so when I do that and I honestly assess what is going on in my life and I put that into words and I put music behind it and I show that to people, I'm not trying to make you feel one way or another. I'm trying to show you who I am
Sure,
when I
sure.
do this, and what I've been through and what I think is going on and all this other stuff. And I just want you, if you feel like it relates to you, if you feel like I'm talking about you, because music is, and we're all living life, and we all go through our own struggles, and we all have our own um, oppositions that we have to get over, and we in our own feelings, love and everything. And it's so many people think they're alone in this life, and it's very, everyone has different experiences, different ways, but there's very common themes that come through what it is to be human. And so when you write about them and you write about the hardest parts of it and the most authentic pieces of it, that's always what connects to people the most. You think about, you were talking about the Eagles,
Sure.
and everyone, like, that's what the Eagles did the best. I mean, songs like Desperado and stuff like that, and even Don Henley's solo stuff like End of Innocence
Yeah, great
and
stuff.
stuff like that. Songs like that, those aren't songs. They aren't making those songs for people to listen to. They're making them because they're inside of them. They just got to get them out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that is what connects to people, and that's what creates connections that last a lifetime.
That's like
And
40 years later, that stuff's still on the radio, you know?
exactly, yeah. And it's funny we talked about the Eagles too. I was one of the main things that kind of turned All Figured Out into what it um was I got the opportunity to record 8 songs with the producer from the Eagles, and All Figured Out is one of them.
Wow, wow. How
So
cool is that? That's very cool.
yeah, so he produced the record, and he sent, his name's Matt Coles, and he's as good as it gets.
I guess
And
so. You'd have to be.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he hooked me up with all his studio musicians down there. The drummer for Toto, Shannon Forrest, the bass player for Elton John and Taylor and Post Malone,
Huh.
Craig Young, and Sol Littlefield from Luke Combs, uh, and just so many just killer musicians. Sam Hunter played Willie Nelson. Uh, all those guys. He hooked me up with all of them, and it was one of those things that we all got to get in the studio and take some of my songwritings and hash out what the
Hey,
song should
Drew, I
be.
hate to cut you off, but we're gonna get cut off if I don't. I'm gonna have to have you back. It was great doing this. I really want to thank you for coming on. Okay.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Take
having
care,
me.
man. Bye bye.
Yep. Have a good one.